A new report has broken down 2024 for the streaming world, and things are bad generally, but things in particular are bad for the big IPs like Star Wars and Marvel. It cannot be fun to be a Disney Plus executive right now. Just the knowledge that Mickey Mouse is waiting in the shadows, ready to take you out if results do not improve. But one of the major duds for Star Wars, unquestionably, was the Acolyte. I've seen some people spinning today's report in a positive way. Put simply, it's not. We'll break all of that down and more in today's video. Today's video is sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command, a strategy game where you recruit iconic characters, crew legendary ships, and embark on missions across the Star Trek universe, seamlessly across PC or mobile. Use my link or scan my QR code to download the game for free on mobile or PC. From first contact training at Starfleet, where you'll work with Kirk, Spock, or Uhura, to Year to Hell, a new Voyager 30th anniversary event continuing the story of 7 of 9 in Star Trek Fleet Command, you'll build your starbase, upgrade your fleets, and assemble a crew worthy of Starfleet. The game is constantly being updated with new missions, officers, buildings, events, and more. Right now, new players will get access to a 7-day login streak bonus, including Captain Nero, who increases your weapon damage. Players can also redeem the promo code CRUSHERS to get 2 full officer unlocks and a full unlock of the Jellyfish once you hit Ops 18 for free. Don't forget to use my link or scan my QR code to download the game. Thanks to Star Trek Fleet Command for sponsoring the channel. Now, on with the video. Alright, so let's talk streaming in 2024. The media analytics company Luminate compiled a report on streaming and television last year, and it paints a fairly dire picture. An industry, to be frank, in decline. Now, major publications like Deadline covered this report, but honestly, you can look into it yourself. There are some pretty clear trends. Viewership is down, but not only because of less interest in marquee series, but also because of fewer new productions and less produced episodes generally. This isn't really surprising. The industry is still recovering from the strikes, which don't always show their effects right away. You know, you're writing for series which may not be produced for a year or two, so all of that is being pushed back, if not canceled, which also means that subsequent series or seasons are also not releasing new episodes. The report also indicates that more and more new shows are being either planned for one season or not renewed because of poor results. The best example of that, perhaps on the list, is The Acolyte. It was so bad that the report actually has a section dedicated to The Acolyte itself, and it says, I quote, "Despite a promising start, Star Wars series The Acolyte was canceled by Disney and Lucasfilm shortly after its first season finale. While mixed fan reactions were likely a factor, viewership for the show had waned, with significant decreases after the first 2 episodes and into the finale." It also goes on to mention that Skeleton Crew was not much better, although of course it was cheaper, and that after Andor, Star Wars is going to need to address the franchise's diminishing returns. How bad were the numbers for The Acolyte? Really horrendous. The thing that's been going around on Twitter is people are pointing out that it was the second best performing project for Disney Plus in 2024, but that's not a positive for The Acolyte. That's a major negative for Disney Plus. So looking at the list, The Acolyte last year had 2.6 billion minutes viewed. This was behind Percy Jackson and The Olympians, which had 3 billion, and ahead Marvel shows like Echo and Agatha All Along, which had 2.2 billion. As we'll see in a minute, regardless of these shows' quality, this was a really bad performance for Disney Plus. In fact, it was so bad that at 9 and 10, we have The Mandalorian Season 3 and The Mandalorian Season 1, which I guess are still performing relatively well. But again, let's put that 2.6 billion into context. The Rings of Power Season 1 was 8 billion views. Season 2 dropped all the way to 3. Not great for Lord of the Rings. Season 1 of Fallout came in at 8 billion. A show like Bridgerton was at 11, but perhaps the best comparison point is other Star Wars shows. So Luminate has actually been pointing out Star Wars issues for a while. Maybe it's Luminate, I don't know. Either way, they have an article for total minutes watched for recent Star Wars shows from Mando Season 3 to Ahsoka Season 1. Ahsoka and Andor came in at north of 4 billion minutes watched. Obi-Wan Kenobi was over 5. The Book of Boba Fett, which by the way only had 7 episodes, came in at over twice the viewership of The Acolyte at 6 billion minutes. Then Mando Season 3 was close to 6.5. So we can see, even among some shows which were already nearing dud status, The Acolyte performed historically bad for Star Wars when considering its budget. Again, Skeleton Crew also had viewership issues and has viewership issues, but it's not the same prestige style project that they were hoping for with The Acolyte. Going back to the strong days of Disney Plus, a show like The Mandalorian Season 1 pulled in nearly 6 billion views during its run, hitting about 15 billion during its release year. But again, as I've been discussing, the issue is not just minutes viewed, which are terrible, but also the budget of The Acolyte. So it's interesting because a show like Kenobi actually had very strong viewership at the beginning, which fell off pretty drastically. And I'm honestly guessing that was just due to a lack of quality. People were there for the actors, the characters, and the continued story, but the quality just wasn't up to par, and that's probably because it had a budget of about $90 million. It was also only 6 episodes long, so not great. The Mandalorian, on the other hand, has an estimated budget of $360 million. However, that's for all 3 seasons, so Disney's really getting bang for their buck there, especially because of the developments of the volume and just their process to making streaming services generally, which they developed alongside Mando. The Acolyte's budget, on the other hand, reportedly was $230 million, which actually places production costs at about twice that of most of the other shows on this list, which were around $15 million an episode. The Acolyte is nearing $30 million, and I don't think they really got a payoff from that, at least personally. However, I don't think The Acolyte's issues were visual. The show looked fine, the choreography was good. I just think it was a mess. They didn't present it right to new viewers. If the focus was Jedi or Sith, that probably should have been more in the marketing. I don't know if people really knew who or what an Acolyte was, and it just also was not good enough to pick up new viewers along the way. Like, the show was a mess. I think it was really derailed by those flashback episodes. It over-explained things. It didn't do a great job of making me care about the main characters, but I mean, that's obviously just subjective. People enjoyed it. I'm glad they did. I didn't think it was the worst thing ever produced. There are people acting like the show was a betrayal against God. I mean, I also don't agree with that, but I said they should cancel it, and I stand by that. Star Wars is in a very precarious position. They've blown a lot of goodwill they had with streaming with just a series of bad or mediocre shows. The Mandalorian Season 3, Kenobi, The Acolyte, Andor and Skeleton Crew, I think, were hurt by releasing on a platform which just generally has not been known for consistent release quality. On one hand, I don't want numbers and new subscribers to be the only metric that determines whether a show should be produced, but I also don't think that The Acolyte is one of the rare cases like Andor where a really good piece of art has been missed by viewers. I think it was an expensive, mediocre piece of art that Disney was definitely right to drop, because I want them to be able to take risks with expensive shows like The Mandalorian was when it released. But if, and this is on the Marvel side too, we just keep getting mediocre, well, that's concerning. Those are just my thoughts though. I'll see you guys next time.